And I have been so busy with like my projects and cleaning, and I lost 89 pounds, you guys. 89 pounds. That's not from sitting still. That's from exercising. That's going from walks. That's going to the parks. I do stuff.
Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. As you can tell, we are going to be talking about Nikocado Avocado. Apparently, he recently has lost 89 pounds. Or has he actually? Or is this whole thing just to troll Amberlynn Reid? Apparently, a lot of people pointed out, and the last time I talked about Nikocado, I don't remember how long ago it was a few videos ago, where I brought up, yeah, Nick says he's lost 89 pounds. People informed me that he was actually just trolling Amberlynn Reid, and that he hasn't actually lost that much weight. But I stand by the fact that, okay, you might be right. It might be a troll. But also, it does seem like he has lost weight. And it seems like in the videos that he's released recently, he is a little bit slimmer. But he has not been releasing very much. If you are someone that watches Nikocado, or you did in the past, he was very well known for uploading all the time. Sometimes multiple times in a day across all of his channels. He has not been uploading that much. But when I actually started working on this video, he uploaded a new video. And so it's all kind of interesting. But the video that we're going to be focusing on for the most part today is a video that was uploaded a month ago. I know you might say, why don't you focus on the newest video? There's a reason, I promise, and we will get into that. But without further ado, let's jump into the video that he titled, How Much I Weigh Now, ... Pizza Mukbang. So this is the video right here. It is an hour long, an hour and 10 minutes. We're not going to be watching the whole thing. I have a couple of timestamps that we're going to be focusing on because most of the stuff, no offense to Nick, it's just not stuff that I'm interested in. But as you can see, this was uploaded a month ago, 4 weeks ago, right? And then this video here, which is pretty much titled the same thing, which I think is because this video has 1.4 million views, which is a lot for anybody, but that's a lot for Nick, right? And so he uploaded this video about 17 hours ago, like very recently. Very, very similar title. Okay, and but we are just going to jump into this and kind of, I just wanted to share some interesting points and just share my opinions. So here, about halfway through the video, he kind of starts about talking about how he's losing weight, how he doesn't want to count calories, all of that stuff. So we're gonna kind of just jump in the middle of this video.
I basically ate an entire pizza because I ate half of this pizza, and I ate half of this pizza, almost half in a slice. There's only 3 slices left. So I ate an entire pizza and like 7 to 10 wings. Plus the amount of calories in this ranch. Don't even want to know. It's okay. I don't count calories. I like to say it because I know all you people care about. Everyone cares about calories. I don't care about calories. I don't. In my view, and I don't like to preach because I think everyone deserves to do what they want. And I think there's value to a lot of different things. It's really hard to say this is the one best way. But I think in general, at least for me, I don't like the idea of counting calories because
I understand where he's coming from here. So the first thing that I think you'll notice if you are not someone that watches much of Nick's videos, which I will admit that I am one of them, he's clearly not overacting like he will do in some videos where he's just like screaming and crying and like fighting with his boyfriend or husband, whatever they are now. This video seems a lot more quote unquote real. It's really hard for me, even someone that has watched a good amount, to really know what Nick is genuinely like. Like I've gone on record many times saying I believe that most of what he puts out there is a complete act, and so it's always feels a little weird to me to like talk about what he's done recently because I'm like, it feels like I'm talking about like a WWE wrestler in like a fight they had recently because it's like it's all fake, right? And so, but it does seem like he's being at least a little bit more genuine in this video, right? And so I understand not wanting to count calories because I do think that for a lot of people it can be very, very overwhelming. And if you're just trying to like lose weight, especially if you're someone that is very, very large, counting might not be helpful for you, especially at the start. If it does feel overwhelming, it absolutely can be. You can absolutely lose weight without counting calories, 100 bazillion%.
Because you can't possibly know how it is. I mean, think of a piece of fruit. When they measure those calories, it's at a certain stage. Let's say a banana, as it's ripening, the amount of calories change. Fruit can be picked too early. Fruit can be grown in not best sunlight, so it has less sugar. If there's less sugar, then there's less calories.
This is true to an extent, but the way I see it is this is why I don't like if I'm going to work with someone and I have a calorie goal, I think having a range is a lot better than having a specific number, because I do think that we can estimate and track a lot better than is actually possible. And so I do think having like a few hundred calories in a range, like say I'm going to eat 22 to 2,500 instead of being like, I have to eat 22. And if I don't hit that number, it's like I'm a failure. Having that leeway is a little bit better, just because like there is going to be times where you either intentionally or unintentionally kind of mess up and you don't even realize, right? And so I do think that there is some validity to what he's saying here.
A really sweet piece of fruit is going to have more calories because there's more sugar. But every piece of fruit will taste a little bit different. I mean, that's just fruit. I mean, you go onto animal and meat and, you know, the whole calorie thing is stupid. And also, do you absorb it? Like, there's a study saying, yeah, you can have a handful of nuts. There might be 300, making it up, there's 300 calories in that handful in itself, but the human body can only absorb.
It's funny that he says he's making that up, because that's actually pretty close to what I like. If you have actually a handful of like nuts, obviously all of them are a handful of like, not those nuts, all right, but a handful of nuts, those, depending on which ones you have, like that could equal 300. Like nuts there's a lot of calories in those. You have, like, a lot of people think, oh, it's healthy and it's low calorie. It's not. You got to be careful. Not saying that you can't have them, but you know, they are pretty dense.
125 calories of that 300, because of all the fiber it passes through you don't actually get those calories. A calorie is a unit of energy. That's all it is. It's heat. Are you utilizing it, and are you absorbing it? And when they say this piece of chicken here has 87 calories per gram, that's really hard to know if it's actually that number. Especially,
again, this isn't wrong, but the way I see it is that it has been shown to be successful for so many people. There have been a lot of people that have tracked calories and it has worked for them. And so, yes, there are going to be discrepancies. It's not going to be perfect, but for me, if it's something that works for you, I think that you should go ahead and do it. If tracking calories is overwhelming for you, that's something that you shouldn't do. I think that you can find other ways to lose weight and find a little bit more common sense kind of tactics and ways to change the foods that you're eating to be able to lose the weight. But I will say, if you are someone that wants to eat similar types of foods that Nick does, counting calories can be really helpful, just because you can find out, okay, I want to have pizza and I know that's going to have this many calories, so I need to like find some foods that are lower in calories to have during the day so I can have these calories. Do I say that it's the best way to go about things? Probably not, but if it's something that you really want to do, I would say that counting at least like estimating is probably going to be helpful for you. Everyone's a little bit different though, but that would be my recommendation.
Especially when it comes to plant food, because it's variable based on the sweetness. Unless you're taking a Brix meter, which measures the sugar, you're never going to know. And a lot of our fruits and vegetables are depleted. They're grown in bad soils. They're not grown. Again, a lot for fruit, the sweetness of fruit doesn't come from the soil. That's a misconception. Learn it from me. That comes from the sun. Actually, fruits taste better when the soils are depleted, because it's just you don't want really rich soils, because the tree is not going to be as happy. The tree is going to make less fruit because the tree is thriving. If the tree is not thriving as it could, the tree will produce more fruit and make them sweeter if there's enough sunlight, because it wants its species to spread. Listen, I was a fruitarian. I know all about it.
I'm not gonna act like I know any of that stuff. He could be right. He could be wrong. I have no idea.
So, anyways, that's just one argument of the counting calories situation. You don't really know how many calories are in that. And you don't know if you're absorbing it. I just gave you an example about nuts. So it's kind of stupid. Another thing is, what a horrible way to count every piece of food that enters your mouth. Just I have to count it, I have to portion it. Some people enjoy that. I have a friend who really enjoys meal prepping and weighing out the food and weighing out each.
Again, I don't disagree with what he's saying here. Personally, like, I'm not someone that likes to track. If you've been following me, I haven't tracked in a very long time. I don't want to do it. but it did teach me a lot. And so I'm not against tracking. I think that tracking for most people should be a transitional period, right? It should be a season of your life that teaches you about nutrition, about calories and food. I think Nick, like if he were to watch this, which I don't think he would, but I've always said, I think Nick is a smart dude. I think that he wouldn't need to. If he really wanted to lose weight, I think he knows enough about food and enough about the amount of calories in food that he doesn't need to count calories. Like I personally believe that. I think he knows enough about nutrition. He knows, he knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing. I think he basically chooses to gain the weight because it's helpful for his channel, but I think he could choose to lose the weight, and he could. Like that's my opinion. I could be wrong. People probably disagree with me on that, but that's how I feel about him. I feel like he's smart. I think he knows what he's doing, and I think he understands nutrition to where he wouldn't need to count calories to see some like progress. But there are plenty of people I know, because I was one of them, that counting calories really did teach me a lot, and I think that it was invaluable information to understand and learn, but it was something that I learned and then I moved on from, right? And so now I no longer do it, but I think that it can be really, 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 really helpful for some people for a certain period of time, and then they can move off of it. But if you're someone that ends up doing it and then you're just like, man, I really like doing this, it's not a burden on me, it's not hard for me, I just like doing this, then by all means, go ahead and keep doing it. For me, it was not something I enjoyed, and so I decided I learned enough from it and I'm moving on, right?
Piece, every morsel of food gets weighed and logged and jotted. It's fun for them, and they enjoy it. And my thing is, you just don't want to ever go hungry. And I don't think they go hungry. I think they eat till they're full, but they're also they're mindful of an estimated calories.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be starving, but I think that if you're trying to lose weight, it's okay to feel kind of hungry sometimes. It's not like the end of the world. Obviously, you want to do your best to find foods that will fill you up and make it so you're not feeling hungry, but it's not the end of the world if you do feel a little bit hungry, in my opinion.
Which is fine. I don't want to do that. I don't have the time. I think it's annoying bringing out the scale, bringing out the meter, portion. I want to eat till I'm full. And so there's a lot of people that do ketogenic diet, plant-based diets, all types of different diets out there. All of them say don't count calories, eat till you're full. Because if you're eating a source of calorie that's better for you, your body, you didn't count calories in nature. You didn't count. What do you think we did for the past?
So this is kind of the argument of almost like intuitive eating. And again, to an extent, I agree, but I do think that if we're talking about like keto or any other diet that really cuts out, basically keto, right, cuts out carbs, a lot of times those diets work for people and they're able to eat until they're full because they have cut out a complete macronutrient. And because they've cut out that macronutrient, they are not eating as much. They don't have as many options. And so they naturally kind of are in a deficit, right? But I believe that even if you decide to do, keto and you overeat, you will not lose weight, right? It's not some magic bullet. It's not going to solve all of your problems. If you are overeating on keto, you will not lose weight. That's just how the body works. You need to be in a caloric deficit. But for some people, being on keto helps them be in a caloric deficit, and they don't feel like they are in any sort of way like depriving themselves, and so it makes it so they can lose weight, right? And so if you want to do keto and it works for you, that's great. But if it doesn't work for you, there are other options as well.
12,000 years. This is the past 100 years. We're all obsessed over calories. They weren't counting calories 300 years ago, let alone 3,000 years ago. They ate till they were full.
I agree with that. I do think that there are plenty of ways to lose weight without counting calories. I think that with counting calories, it is just a tool. It's something that we understand more now. Do we have it completely perfect? No, but I think we have it enough to where it really can help a lot of people. And so it's one of those things. Try it out and see if it works for you.
But they weren't eating processed junk like we are now. So yeah, if you're going to eat food dyes and processed junk, then yes, count your calories. But in general,
I think, and that's one of the arguments, right? Because 300 years ago, they didn't have access to the foods that we did, but there was also so many other things. Like when people bring up the whole like food has changed in 300 years, yes, it has, but also human life has changed. Like how much we walk has significantly decreased, just walking. But then the types of jobs people had, like 300 years ago, do you think no one was working in a cubicle? Right? For the most part, they weren't like sitting at a desk. They were almost every job required some type of movement. Even if you weren't like out plowing the field all day, you were moving, you were walking, you didn't drive your car everywhere. All of that stuff adds up into why so many people are struggling with their weight. And so yes, 300 years ago, not as many people were overweight and obese. Yes. But that's because our life was completely different. And so now there are so many people that are overweight and obese and that they want to lose weight. And so now we have to find ways to help those people lose the weight. Before we didn't, because there wasn't as many people that were overweight.
In general, I'm just someone that, again, for some people, they might enjoy it. I'm like, I don't enjoy that. So, I don't know why I'm talking about this. I don't like being preachy at all. I guess I'm saying what I do. And what I do is I don't count calories at the end. Goodbye. I'm not gonna count calories. I can't know for certain that the calories on the package are actually in the food. Can you? You don't know. Do you know how many times labels lie or mislead, or they're based on what was in the lab of that sample?
That is true. Like there have been plenty of like lawsuits and stuff from places that claim there's this many calories when there's actually that many. Like this definitely is something that happens. I remember a few years ago, was it Lenny and Larry's? They had like these cookies, these vegan cookies that they claimed were a certain amount of calories, and it came back that they were way more, and they got in a lot of trouble for that.
But not the chicken you happen to receive. The chicken you got might have twice as much fat. The chicken you got might have twice as much more iron because it was a healthy chicken. That chicken was diseased. Do you actually know? Can you, unless you're measuring each piece you don't actually know if this chicken has more zinc or not. It's all estimation. So,
yeah, I mean, I agree for the most part. It's all estimation, but for the most part, a lot of the estimation does seem to work for a lot of people. And so I would say that we're close enough to where, yeah, it's not exactly a science, like perfectly 100% accurate, but it's accurate enough. That's the way I see it, right? Like chasing perfection is never going to like make you happy. It's never going to happen, but just chasing good enough. I think for a lot of people, counting calories is good enough, right? It's not exactly perfect, but it's good enough. This next clip is him kind of talking about how he hasn't been on YouTube as much. And I just thought that it was relevant. So we're going to go ahead and watch this.
Well, I hope you guys are doing well. I really do. I know I don't post as much anymore, but that's for a lot of different reasons. Finances, depression, haters was a big reason. You know, I made a lot of bad financial decisions, and I also got really unlucky. And I've also been a stubborn Taurus that refused to jump off the ship way sooner. I kind of just watched this sink. And you're like, what are you talking about? When the you-know-what hit, my channel's pay hit as well, which makes sense. People are spending less because they're scared, they're cooped up, they're not going out, whatever. They're not going to spend, so advertisers don't pay as much. And everyone got affected. I'd say by 2021, a year later, according to the people I know, some of my friends, well, I don't say most, because I don't know that many people. I only know like 20 or 30 YouTubers, and I only talk to like 12 of them regularly. Most of the people I know, they recovered by that end of the year. I did not.
That's interesting, yeah, because for me, 2021, I think was like the most, it was like the best year for me. For whatever reason, just things happened and the channel was doing like better than it had ever done. Which was a really weird feeling because so many people were struggling at that time, and financially for me was the most that I had ever made. I've never been anywhere near someone like him, but for me it was like, whoa, this is pretty crazy. So yeah, it's kind of interesting seeing that it was a little bit different.
And also my content got more wild and the clicks were crazy, and it was like a thing, you know, this has been my thing. And I was too determined that it would just correct itself on its own. Let's just say I spent thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on food. I'd spend $100 on a meal every day, sometimes twice a day for other channels. Like I was pumping out, and some videos barely broke even. Like if I spent 120 on something, I made 150, or I spent 300 at Cheesecake Factory and I made 200 from the video. It's like, okay, the video got 200K, but it was really stupid of me. And So anyways, I'm like, I can't keep pushing something that isn't working, you know? It's nice to recharge too, that's for sure.
It's just interesting. Like I've always been interested in the persona, right? And it seems like there's a little bit of a break here in at least in this video. Again, I could be completely wrong, and it could be all a facade, right? But compared to other videos I'm sure you've seen of him like freaking out, this is very clearly, in my opinion, appear into maybe a little bit more of a realistic take on who is behind the camera.
Everyone's like, oh. But someone called me lazy recently. I'm like, lazy? I'm more hard work than anyone I've met. Dang. I mean, I gave you free content posting every single day, including when I was sick, including on holidays. Every once in a while I would miss a day. It would be like rare, and I would make up for it by posting twice on another channel the 2 days later. Since 2017.
Yeah, I mean, I personally wouldn't call Nick lazy. I understand if you're not like someone that makes YouTube videos, you might be like, oh, come on, get over yourself. I get it. And like, I don't think that he would say his content is like the highest effort content, but that makes it so he can do it daily. But regardless of what you're doing, if you're doing something daily, that can become just a little bit overwhelming. And so I personally wouldn't call him lazy, but I just wanted to share that part of the video too. I just thought it was interesting. So we go from that video, which seemed like a very real, like, look into how Nick is, and then this video was posted as of recording this video 5 days ago, right? And it is titled, it's just a YouTube short, I've gained back 42.1 pounds, right? And it's just 6 seconds of him basically crying, right? And very clearly there is a difference in the tone of these videos, right? I do think that he has lost weight. How much he's lost, I don't know, and I don't know if anyone knows. I mean, he could have said in some video or somewhere, because he has so many different places that he would post on different social medias. It's really, really hard to keep up. At least it is for me, because I'm not sitting here just like, you know, watching the content every day and trying to find like, wait, what's this? What's going on here? But it's really hard to tell what's real and what's not. But I wanted to share that too, because it feels like he's found like, oh, talking about my weight and how much I weigh or don't weigh seems to be getting people to click on the videos. And that brings us to the video that was posted as of recording yesterday. In this video, again, it's very, very similar tone-wise to the pizza video that we had watched earlier. And it seems like he's kind of talking about similar things. He doesn't really talk about how much he weighs, at least from what I could watch. I like watched the entire video and he doesn't really mention it. But he does talk a little bit about finances and about how he, you know, he actually, him and his boyfriend made this chicken. And they made it because he said, you know, I'm trying to save some money. And he kind of just goes on and talks about similar things to what he talked about in that last video that we watched. But I just thought it was interesting looking at the comments of this video. They're pretty positive, right? It says, I truly never thought this day would come. I'm happy to see you, Nick, right? We're proud of you, Nick. When Nick's not in character, right, he comes off as very wholesome, which again, I've always said. You know, Nick, I'm glad you improved your behavior. You are more stable now. I'm proud of it. And the weight that you have lost, we're so proud of you, right? So it seems like people are excited for Nick and what has been happening recently. So at the end of the day, it does seem like Nick has lost some weight. How much, I don't know. Maybe you guys might know. If you genuinely know, a comment in the comment section would help me, because I've tried to figure it out and I can't. But I do think, like I've always said, I hope that Nick is successful. I truly believe he can be. I think he can be successful without even counting calories, if that's something that he wanted to do. I'm really interested to see where this goes and where this takes him, because I don't know. It seems like the people that do watch his video are more excited about this version that they're seeing than maybe the past more over-the-top version. But again, it seems like that over-the-top version could come out at any time, because again, 5 days ago he released that video crying, right? So who really knows what's going to happen? I've always said, like, I think the Nikocado Avocado thing is a show that's put on, but I do think Nick behind the scenes is probably a pretty like good person, and it seems like I never want anyone to be in pain or to be hurt or to be struggling with their weight, like genuinely, right? And so I hope that if he does want to lose weight, that's something that he's able to do. But I would love to know what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.